thank you very much.
Of course.
Happy New
Happy
Year.
New Year.
Good to see you. Let's start with a yes or no question. Is it proper to negotiate a CTU contract if, as a member on leave, you are going to benefit from that contract?
Well, I'm not going to benefit from the contract. As mayor of the city of Chicago, I have the incredible responsibility of ensuring that we have a board of education that reflects the values of the people of Chicago. And so those folks are responsible to ensure that the Chicago Public Schools, working with our labor partners, of course, in coordination with the mayor's office, to ensure that the public education system reflects the values of the people of Chicago.
But you are not on leave? That's what we've been told.
So I am on leave from Chicago Public Schools, but I'm not negotiating the contract. The Board of Education has that responsibility. Now, what I will say is this, though. As someone who is mayor of the city of Chicago, and for the first time in the history of Chicago, where the mayor of the city of Chicago actually trusts the system to send my own children to the public schools, I reflect and represent the values of parents. I do respect the work that teachers do because I've been one. And so I know that the people of Chicago, they want a school district that is fully funded, that ensures that every single child has access to a high quality education. That is the goal, and that's the responsibility that this board has to deliver on.
How can the city afford the contract that you're negotiating with the salaries the teachers want to walk away with when so many are concerned that live and work in this city of how they're even going to pay for their rent, let alone a property tax increase should there be one someday?
Well, this is really about the full values that the people of Chicago want. Every single parent that I speak with, they want class sizes that are small. They want social workers and counselors. You know, this is not just about a contract. This is about what our public schools should look like. And as a parent, I can tell you this, you know, I want my children to have a high quality education within our public schools in Chicago. And I want that for every single parent. But we also have to make sure that we have a well-funded, full, rich curriculum that includes after-school activities. And whether you're on the north side of Chicago or the southeast side of the city of Chicago, that's what parents want. And so I fully expect that the Board of Education is going to work hard with our labor partners, our teachers, to ensure that that high-quality education is actually delivered.
They're concerned as well, though, about how to pay for it. And that with your, I don't want to say the word edict, but with your saying no labor cuts, how down the road, not just this contract, but the next budget, should there be a property tax increase then?
Well, look, I'll say it like this, that, you know, when I talk to parents across the city of Chicago, what they are most concerned about, they're most concerned about special education, bilingual education, and transportation. And so as the mayor of the city of Chicago, I did something that other mayors refused to do. We released the largest TIF surplus in the history of Chicago to go to our taxing bodies. Now, of course, we're going to continue to work with our state partners to ensure that our public schools are funded throughout, not just throughout the state of Illinois, right? And so that's a work that all of us get to do together. But I feel very confident that the people of Chicago and our value system is aligned with, you know, school districts around the state. But here's the most important thing here, though. The most important thing is to ensure that our public school system is fully funded and supported, right? To ensure that social workers, counselors, librarians, that all of these services that parents want. As a parent, as a teacher, I know what parents and teachers want. They want their schools to be fully invested in. And I think it's important that we just keep that top of mind, because that is really what the focus has to be around the 325,000 children that rely upon our public schools.
All right, if we could stop from the filibustering just a bit. State partners, what happened this week? It doesn't seem as if there's good state partners going on if you and the governor did not even talk ahead of time about what's going on with hemp legislation. What we're hearing back from the governor's office is he's concerned about children, and again, this is their take, you're concerned about businesses. What's happened there? Why are you not ready to regulate the hemp industry?
We are. We're all in agreement with regulation, particularly strict regulation around the hemp industry. Listen, I want to protect young people. I've done that my entire career as a youth worker, as a public school teacher, making sure that we have strict regulations to keep young people from accessing a potentially dangerous, toxic product is of top mind. In fact, as the city...
But to go against the governor and to already have this conflict this early on in the year, when you talk about state partners for education, will that not end up being a tough one to reconcile?
So there's no conflict. We both agree that we have to have strict regulations. In fact, during the budget process, we put forth and led the way on stricter regulations that were not particularly in this legislation. Here's what we said. And here's what has actually happened. And I'm grateful that the Chicago delegation helped lead this charge. The city of Chicago and municipalities around the state, we have to be at the table to make sure that those regulations, of course, reflect the values of local communities, while also making sure that all stakeholders are available to be a part of this conversation. That is what's important in this moment here. We are all in agreement. In fact, the presentation that we put forth at the city council level, there are ideas that members of the General Assembly are ready and willing to embrace. And so we're aligned when it comes to protecting the interests of young people. There's no one in the state of Illinois that wants to see young people harmed by any sort of substance, whether it's alcohol, whether it's tobacco, or whether it's hemp. And so because we're in agreement and we're in alignment with that, together when it comes to regulation, now it's imperative for us in the 104th General Assembly to come together as a state to come up with real comprehensive regulations to ensure maximum security, but also making sure that local municipalities get to play a part in those negotiations.
All right, let's flip gears just a bit. How are you preparing for the Trump administration? Are you willing to meet with the president-elect? Are you willing to meet with his immigration czar?
We're certainly willing to meet with the President of the United States of America. Of course, we would meet with the President. And where there are opportunities where we are aligned, particularly around my investments as we lead the country with our investments in housing and economic development, the largest investment for housing and economic development in the history of Chicago, particularly to grow small businesses. We believe there's an opportunity for the Trump administration to support us in those efforts. His position around workforce, we certainly want to grow our economy. Now, there are some things that we differ on. Obviously, there's no secret there. But one of the things that's important is that as a state, we're all united as Democrats to ensure that the people of Chicago get the full support from the federal government, because we know as the city of Chicago goes, the rest of the state goes. As the state goes, the region goes. And as the region goes, the rest of the country goes.
What about his immigration czar?
Well,
He's almost taunting Chicago and saying, I'm going to come and base here.
Well, but listen, we don't get into that level of back and forth. Here's what we've said from the very beginning. We need comprehensive immigration reform policy. That's been my position from the very beginning. In fact, Republicans believe in that too. In fact,
but that hasn't happened. What are you going to do?
So that's what I'm saying, that this has to happen. Now that he has control of the House and the Senate, what needs to happen is comprehensive immigration reform. Even Republicans agree with that.
In the meantime, what will happen in Chicago?
And what happened in Chicago?
What will happen in Chicago? Should this be the base for rounding up those who are not considered legal citizens?
Oh, well, look, we're a welcoming city. Our police department will adhere to the law, and our police department will not behave as federal agents, right? And that's very clear. I mean, we've been a welcoming city for a generation now, and so it's incumbent upon our police department to continue to build confidence with the community, and our police department will not serve as federal agents.
Politically, recent polls show 76% of those surveyed say Chicago would be better off with a different mayor. How do you convince them otherwise? Well,
look, the people of Chicago elected me to invest in people. In every single category as it relates to investments, they're up. $20 billion of new investments, working with the state of Illinois, working with the county of Cook, Psi Quantum coming to the southeast side of Chicago. It's the first time that entire region has received these type of investments. $1 billion, I got you, 1 minute. $1 billion of new investments, particularly from Advocate Health, building a new hospital. The 1901 project on the west side of Chicago, we're talking about billions of investments.
We've talking about polling, though.
And we've also seen a decline in homicides, in shootings, vehicular carjackings, robberies. So investments are up, crime is down. We're building a better, stronger, safer Chicago together. And that's the most important thing that we have to do here.
Does the negative press bother you?
Oh, I don't particularly get moved by people's opinion of me. Here's what I was elected to do, was to stand up for working people. North side, southeast side, and everywhere else in between. We have seen tremendous uptick in our workforce. The largest investment for youth employment in the history of Chicago for paid positions. We've expanded behavioral and mental health care. We're going to cut the ribbon at the Rosen Clinic on the south side of Chicago this very week. We're seeing more affordable housing units built 3,700. We're going to continue to do that. We've created more opportunities for down payment assistance so that families can purchase homes. We've added more resources to our budget to ensure that individuals who experienced flooding a couple of summers ago, that we could actually have those support services. Community safety continues to expand. $100 million for violence prevention for over 23 organizations to build a better, stronger, safer Chicago. In fact, not only are our investments up and crime is down, the city of Chicago has still been rated the #1 relocator for corporate headquarters. Condé Nast rated us yet again the best big city in America. So we're already seeing the transformation. As I continue to lead the way, of course I expect high expectations. I actually am humbled that the people of Chicago believe in my administration enough to have greater expectations than any other administration. That's what leadership looks like, and I'm humbled to do it.
Why do you say that? Why do you say that there's greater expectations? I don't
Well,
know
because
where I
listen,
hear that. Because,
yeah.
and then the feedback instead is that the polling is poor. So how do I don't know how you interpret it that way.
Well, because maybe because I'm a middle child. Maybe it's because I'm a Bears fan. By the way, the Bears are undefeated in 2025, so we're off to a great start.
It doesn't have anything
Here's
to do
what
with...
I'm saying, though. Look, the people of Chicago voted for me to invest in them, and that's exactly what we've done. And I'm going to continue to do that. The #1 issue that people were concerned about when I became mayor was community safety. And we have seen a decline over the last 19 months in homicides, in shootings, in robberies, and our investments are up. We're going to continue to do that as we face these challenges, and we're facing them strong. We have provided real structural transformation to our budget as we continue to see more and more people invest in Chicago, as our ridership continues to go up with our transportation system. I am humbled that the people of Chicago expect me to continue to deliver on their behalf.
Transportation system, CTA, Dorval Carter, is he safe?
Well, here's the most important thing to know, is that we are working hard to make sure that ridership continues to go up as we've seen over the class 2024, because MaryAnn, I don't discuss personnel issues.
I know, but have you ridden that? Have you ridden the train out to the airport and back? It's not safe.
Well, what I'm saying is that since I've been mayor, ridership continues to go up. We continue to hire more people. Of course, we want safe and reliable public transportation system in every area of need in this city. We have transformed and we've improved. We've improved as it relates to workforce development. We've improved as it relates to our credit rating. We've improved as it relates to our investments. We've improved as it relates to community safety.
Why is the perception not that way? Why your glass is half full as it should be when many we talk to, the glass is half empty?
Well, listen, here's what people are hopeful about. They're hopeful that we're going to continue to invest in young people, in behavior and mental health, and build more affordable homes. We built 1,100 new housing units downtown by repurposing old office space, of which 30% will be dedicated to affordability. That's the first time in the history of Chicago. In fact, I don't hear anywhere else in America where we discuss downtown and affordability. Here's what I rest on every single day. I live by a very simple creed. I was raised by a pastor, my grandfather was a pastor, and my father would always quote the words of Jesus the Christ, that where your treasure is, your heart will be also. And my treasure is with the people of Chicago, and so is my heart, and I'm going to continue to invest to ensure that we have a better, stronger, safer Chicago for everyone.
Mr. Mayor, thank you for your time.
You're certainly welcome. Thank you. All right.